Hi there. In this lecture we see Mikhail Tal playing against Benko in the 1959 Bled Zagreb Belgrade candidates, a very, very important tournament to decide the World Championship challenger to Mikhail Botvinnik. So Mikhail Tal became world champion in 1960 by defeating Mikhail Botvinnik. So this was the candidates tournament leading up to that. E4 from Tal, c5 from Benko, knight f3, and the hyper-accelerated dragon. Tal reacts with d4. We have bishop g7, and now Tal pushes forward with d5. So he's not interested in taking a pawn. Black could play, for example, queen a5 check, and here, it's kind of not too much to write home about if Black collects that pawn. So queen takes c5 there would be fine for Black overall. So instead we see this pawn push d5. We see d6, knight c3, knight f6, bishop b5 check, knight bd7, a4. Black castles, white castles a6, the bishop drops back to e2, rook b8, rook e1, knight e8, bishop f4, knight c7, bishop f1. White is looking forward, it seems, to e5 and then maybe e6. If ever e5, e6, Black's king safety is slightly compromised potentially if escape squares of the king are taken out. That can lead to magic later potentially. So this is actually a dangerous idea in many respects. E4 to e5, then e6. We have b5, queen d2, rook e8. This is actually an inaccuracy. Black needs to put a lock and key over this whole e5 plan, it seems. The engine suggests b4 straight off the bat, and for example knight f6, h3, and then bishop b7 to make sure that d5 is a liability for e5, and then even consider e5, just locking up the position. If white dares take here, Black should have play here. There's a counter on e4 here, so queen takes d6, queen a5, and this should be sufficient counterplay for Black, this particular position. So yeah, I mean, for example here, if white has to give back the pawn, basically because of tactical considerations, Black's fine. The double fianchetto is working very well there. So yes, b4 seems to be the way to go, leaving the rook on f8. If we look at this, yeah, this continuation does seem as though if white ignores e5, then we can have a kind of more classical looking position. Black's got a fair share of the centre. There's no major space gainers. White's edge is small, but it's not that significant. But anyway, in the game though, rook e8 is played. We have h3, knight f6, rook ad1, bishop d7, and white does play e5 now. We have b4, and now the knight goes to e4. We have knight takes e4. So this is a very, very interesting position. You might think, oh, hold on, Kingscrusher, what about the d5 pawn? How is Tal doing this? If knight f takes d5, bishop c4 is very, very interesting. Basically targeting the f7 soft spot. That is the only... That pawn is only protected by the king. It's important to look at the soft spots, especially if you're Mikhail Tal. Or try to simulate Mikhail Tal. You've got to find those soft spots around the king. So here, giving up d5 is like an entrance pathway to f7. And if, for example, e6, bishop g5, knight takes d6, is crushing. Knight takes f4, queen takes f4. This situation is very good as well. So white's having a big advantage there. So, this situation is very dangerous because of bishop c4. Yeah, it's leading up to f7. So it's a very, very interesting move, very, very interesting idea. It's just extremely dangerous in all variations, it seems. So knight takes e4 is played. Rook takes e4. Bishop takes a4. And now bishop h6. Here it seems premature to play e6 because of f takes, d takes, bishop c6 hitting the rook, and say bishop takes f3, bishop takes b2. Black should be in the driving seat with advantage here. In the game though, this is very different with bishop h6. we have bishop h8, rook d e1, and in this complicated situation, we have actually the move f6. This seems to be a critical mistake. It's inviting what seems to be like a painful move e6, which does take away escape square of the king. If bishop b5 instead, here e6, f takes, d takes, bishop takes b2, knight g5. White's attack might not break through because of rook f8 if the exchange offering is in place. So knight f7, trying to ignore that, but black does have sufficient play, it seems, here. So if white does eventually, accept the exchange sack, then it should be just an equal position, essentially. And here, if instead bishop takes b5, queen f4, rook f8, just offer the exchange sack, and black should be fine. This mass of pawns is given priority if black's king survives. Then they have a chance. But with f6, king safety is compromised after e6. We see f5, and Tal goes in with rook h4. If bishop takes b2, instead, no, bishop takes b2 is played. The thing is, instead of f5, bishop b5, then rook g4 is interesting for white. Yeah, it's pretty direct here. With this pawn wedge in the center, you might suspect that there are attacking resources. So, for example, f5, there are actually spectacular resources here available to white because of this pawn wedge. What would you do in this position, for example? Yeah, you could even sacrifice a rook. Rook takes g6 check. It seems to work out well. Queen g5, queen h4. And here, for example, bishop takes b5, knight takes bishop f4 in order to facilitate knight g5, looking at h7. And it's just super dangerous. This scenario is pretty dangerous for black. Black's getting dismantled and the rook's going to come in. So, for example, like this. So, yeah, these are really, really dangerous scenarios. So, f5, though, is tried. Rook h4. And now bishop takes b2. If bishop f6, there's an absolutely stunning idea here to try and break open the black king. Can you see what that is? Yeah, g4, trying to open up the lines and get rid of the defenders. If bishop takes h4, knight takes h4, let's say f takes, white just needs the support on the dark squares, and this diagonal here is key. So white could actually play a move like b3, trying to open up this diagonal. So say bishop b5, c4, and we can see how terminal the diagonal is here all of a sudden. So yes, this would be absolutely terminal. So yeah, even that is possible on bishop f6, g4, even this. Yeah, the dark squares, once the bishop leaves with that pawn wedge, it's absolutely fatal for the black king. So bishop takes b2. But here, yeah, this is not very good either. Can you see what Tal plays here? It's a really crushing attack now. And it's conducted with a brilliant move in this position. In fact, another move would do as well. It is kind of a luxury attacking position with more than one option, but this is one of the more incisive options. Rather, this is the incisive option. Let's be more certain about it. It seems a beautiful move. What would you play for 200 points in this position? So even with the dark square bishop on the board, the king's still vulnerable. Bishop f8. Vacating the h6 square for the killer queen to come in. It turns out here knight g5 is plausible as well. This situation, for example, if we look at this, knight takes h7, white could carve through even this situation. Again, you know, the bishop without a counterpart and that pawn on e6 is a lethal combination. The bishop could get onto that diagonal with the queen's assistance like this. So the bishop and queen, if they're arranged on the dark squares like this is fatal as well. So yeah, the patterns are being reinforced here, the attacking patterns. If we go back there, by the way, yeah, if king f6 is not going to help, as you might suspect. That's not going to lead to anything. So, okay, so bishop f8, though, is really crushing. We have rook takes f8. If f4, queen takes f4, this situation with queen h6, rook f7, knight g5 is strong, very strong. You know, here, black's defensive resources are non-existent. If king takes f8, rook takes h7 is crushing. So bishop g7, queen g5. Again, you know, black's not in a position to defend. You know, that's a mate threat because of that pawn wedge. This is just mating. So rook takes f8 was tried. Queen h6, rook f7. If rook f6, queen takes h7 check, queen h8 is checkmate. If bishop g7, queen takes h7, mate. So rook f7, e takes, f7 check, king takes f7, queen takes h7 check, bishop g7. If king e8 instead, queen takes g6 check, queen takes f5 check, rook takes e6, and white is crashing through here on both sides of the board. Bishop takes a6, picking up a rook with the knight pinned. This is absolutely, you know, winning material, winning the game. It's quite crushing indeed. So, okay, so bishop g7 was tried. And now, guess what Tal plays here for 100 points? Rook h6. As you might suspect, there's other ways of playing this, but rook h6 is very nice indeed. Knight g5 check is also strong with rook h6 here. So, for example, queen e8, knight e6. This situation is going to end badly. You know, white's got so many attacking resources here. So anyway, rook h6, queen g8, queen takes g6 check, king f8. Now knight g5. And here we see queen takes d5. As though the king's going to go to g8 if knight h7 check. But the thing is, yeah, this is a difficult position, of course. If bishop takes h6, knight h7 check wins the queen. And then, you know, f5 after that, it's dismantling. So this situation, though, guess what Tal plays here, which ends the game kind of immediately. So white to play for 100 points. What would you play in this position? Okay, rook h8 check at move 30, ending the game. Yeah, because if bishop takes, there's knight h7, and that is check and mate. Wow. A few lessons here from this game. This pawn wedge seems just far too dangerous. It's not only supporting mates directly, you know, taking out the escape square, you know, f7 is crucial. We see variations in which the bishop and queen are really lethal on the dark squares, especially if the dark square bishop departs. So yes, we get a view of direct attacking chess here. Very resourceful direct attacking chess. The amazing talents of Mikhail Tal for the art of attack, basically. So I hope you enjoyed that one as much as me. Thanks so much. Hi there. Thanks for getting to the end of the YouTube video. If you would like to see other Mikhail Tal games, I actually have an amazing course for Mikhail Tal, which is currently at 4.9 with over 400 students. You can check this out from the Kingscrusher TV page. So Chess Strategy and Tactics, Mikhail Tal's amazing games. You can check out some free preview videos as well here. If you do expand all sections, you can see the preview links to get some free previews. So I hope you do check out this course index and the free previews. So I really had a thrilling time actually checking out Mikhail Tal's games. So yeah, the YouTube video here you saw was just a sample from this course. I hope you check it out. Okay, thanks so much. Oh, by the way, comments, questions, likes, shares, all appreciated. And if you did get to this part of the video, please do leave some sort of comment like Tal fan. Okay, thanks again.